on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope y'all been having a great start to your week, a great Monday. We're going to talk about the severe weather outbreak that's potentially likely going to happen here in the next few days across the Deep South. They're going to talk about who right now looks like they're going to get hit the hardest as we're starting to get into short-range modeling now, so we can really start to get a good look at the thermodynamics, the low-level jet, where it's going to set up, where it's going to be the most prevalent. And what dynamics do we have in place in what certain areas that really we're going to get just a better idea of what's going to happen where. So we're going to talk about where in the Deep South and the Southeast, who's going to get hit, and we'll take a peek at after this event and what we got working with. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video. It helps with the algorithm and getting my video out there. Just a small YouTuber, but I love talking about the weather. It's a huge passion of mine. I talk weather here on the Eastern U.S., so definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. It's much appreciated. Also, I love an opportunity to pray for any of you guys who need prayer from me. Anybody in the comments, it gives them an opportunity to pray for you. And if it's unspoken, just say that. I love using this platform as a way to do that and help out others, because I do believe that prayer is powerful. So let's talk about the weather. So finally, the Storm Prediction Center, now let's get to day 4 here. The Storm Prediction Center dropped a 15% risk. There's an outlook legend. When you get to day 4 outward, you really don't get into the categories yet. But tomorrow we'll get into day 3. We'll see if they'll drop a marginal or slight risk for this area and then upgrade further higher as we get deeper, as we get closer into the actual day, which is looking like to be, it's going to be Thursday for the severe weather event. But check it out, 15% risk up. So we'll probably get elevated when we wake up in the morning and the Storm Prediction Center updates this. But big cities like New Orleans, Birmingham, Baton Rouge, Montgomery, Shreveport, anybody, all them other small, Jackson, Mississippi, small cities, bigger cities and towns in this yellow area for sure needs to watch out, because this potentially looks like a big time severe weather event. So let's look at the GFS for now. Let's just get a bigger view of what's going on here, and this is going to run through. And I do want to mention the GFS upgraded to the new GFS today, so it's a little bit better. It's supposed to be better. So we get into Thursday, and here's the low pressure responsible for whipping up a low-level jet that's really going to bring some nasty weather to Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, potentially Alabama. And basically, you have cooler, more stable air coming behind this low pressure, and you have ingredients southeast of this and just east of this in general, as you have a southerly flow kind of screaming out the Gulf here. It's going to create some shear. It's going to create, you're going to have cape in place. You're going to have dire dew points, and you're just going to have ingredients that are there for severe weather. So this is our system that we're dealing with. Notice this thing kind of doesn't really get into the Carolinas. It's really digging. More west. As you can tell, we get into Thursday here, and we get into our system. Here we go. Right here. It's digging right here. This is the low-level jet screaming across Louisiana. A low-level jet, to know what that is, basically, if you look into the atmosphere and you see in the sky and you see clouds screaming one direction, but other clouds not going the same direction, that is a good idea, and it's a good visual of actually in the air of shear. You have different layers of the atmosphere going different directions, so that creates a spin in the atmosphere, obviously, when you have two different things going 2 different ways. So that creates shear. It helps amplify the tornado threat, and along with other things too. So that's what's going to be here. That's what's going to be going on in Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of Alabama, maybe all the way up into the Ohio Valley, like Tennessee and things like that. So in Arkansas. So this is a big component. It's the same similar thing set up for the severe weather event last week. So you got a big time low-level jet sitting up here, screaming through the area. You go to the next frame, and then you got some cape mixed in, and this is just a European. I'm going to show you the NAM too, so stay tuned, because the NAM is in range and we can have an opportunity to see this. But check out the cape building in the warm sector right here for the severe weather to really pump up here. So you got some decent cape here, moderate cape, and you have something building here. So what I do want to show you something here is we're getting into the NAM. We're going to go through all the different components here in the NAM for this event. So we're in the long range NAM, so it's not quite there yet. We really need to get into the shorter range NAM. We really need to get to the HRRR model runs. But as we get going here, we're getting into Thursday, and here comes what looks to be our system. Whatever's going on here, it looks sloppy, but it is the long range NAM. But I can tell you one thing: there's not really, and that's probably too big of an area, but we'll just roll with this. You look at the soundings. You got the Tor as the hazard, so there is some ingredients there for tornadoes. But one thing I'm noticing, there's not really a cap here. So a cap, when you have a cap in place, it helps to limit storm development. It doesn't allow the updrafts to really penetrate and really explode. So you're thinking, okay, well, that's not a bad thing for storms. So what it is it'll allow any kind of convection to explode. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a large area in here that's going to have a lot of convection. There's going to be a lot of storm development. There's just going to be a lot. You're not going to have an individual cell and you're going to have a tornado in that. You're going to have a bunch of heavy rain and storms all kind of combined together. So that's for anybody trying to storm chase this is probably going to be very hard to do so, because you're going to be trying to look for a tornado that could potentially be rain wrapped. Not necessarily. When I was chasing in Alabama, it was kind of like that too. It was hard. There was a lot of convection everywhere. A convection as in there was a lot of storms really close to each other, so it was kind of hard to stay dry and to film a tornado in our funnel cloud in a storm. But I think this has a chance to be even more so like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it develops, especially when we get into the HRRR model run. But that is where our event's going to be right here, the main event. We're still watching the Carolinas. Still worth watching. And I really think as we get into the weekend, there's actually going to be a chance of thunderstorms. And we'll talk more on the details on that in the coming days. But I do want to show you where the moist sector is. I say sector every time. It never fails. I'm trying to say sector, guys. But this is basically where the warm sector is and the moist sector. So you're getting into... we're getting deeper into the time frame here, and it's pretty humid in the Gulf even before this gets going. But as the Thursday time frame gets going, I think there'll be even more moist air in place than the last system, higher dew points, and that's another reason why I think this area right here is just going to be waterlogged. You're going to get, the threat's there for tornadoes, yes, and hail and strong winds and just everything else that comes with a supercell. But I think a huge deal that's not being talked about much is the heavy rain, the flooding rain potentially for this area, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. That the higher dew points right there tells me that there's some high water values definitely in this area. High water values means it can rain really, really hard. In a nutshell, that's what that means. But check out how humid it is here. So that is a big component for severe weather. Now we're going to look at Cape. So we're getting here in time, and check out how the Cape gets going here. It's moderate Cape. It's not extreme Cape, but it's enough to add already to the thermodynamics in place to really create an unstable atmosphere. Now, as we get going here, because we're going to start to move through this supercell composite. So this is big. So supercell is a rotating thunderstorm. So look how high the values get here as we get into Thursday. They definitely start to maximize off according to the NAM as we get into Thursday afternoon across lower portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, getting close to the Tuscaloosa and Birmingham area as we get later into the evening. So you have values of 14 to 16. That's just a gauge down there. But the thing that everybody really is concerned about, obviously, is the tornadoes. So this is the tornado parameter right here, and here it is. We're getting into Thursday, and it's very high. It's very high right here. So, that's into the, I guess you can say the torcon of, what is this, 4, 5, 6. So, it's, I don't know why it keeps moving like that. This area, obviously, right here into lower Mississippi and getting into Alabama, there's going to be a threat of heavy rain, tornadoes, strong winds, and just anything that you can think of that comes with severe weather. So, this area in lower Mississippi, I really think it's going to be a big-time area. The hazard is a PDS tornado. The hodograph right here, Doesn't have much spin to it, but there is a little bit. High dew points, temperatures don't really matter at this point. But you notice there's just no cap, nothing really going on to stop anything from developing. So there's just going to be a big time mess. So the thing that scares me with this, I think, is the fact that you can get some rain-wrapped tornadoes with this, some rain-wrapped wedges. Wedges are massive tornadoes, half a mile wide. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's the scary thing with this. When you have so much convection, you have rotation and a storm tornado drops, and it comes out of nowhere, and you can't really see it because it's rain-wrapped. And I think that this potentially has that aspect to it. So this is helicity. This is basically where you can have some spin ups with some storms, and obviously it maximizes right there in the Baton Rouge, southern Louisiana area, southeastern Louisiana, into southern areas of Mississippi. So it's a scary thing to watch out for, and this is definitely going to be a severe weather outbreak. I don't know. We need to really get into the range of the HRRR model to really see what the structure of these storms look like, but it looks like it's going to be another severe weather outbreak. So I'm still watching the Carolinas right now. I think we're going to be affected by something over the weekend, but what that is, I'm not sure. We need to get a little bit deeper into the week to figure that out. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have a blessed afternoon and evening.